Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Dram Antics Society. Uh, I've started a 5 tastings in which I'm going to do a comparison between uh, a distillery, uh, a distillery's previous flagship whiskey and the present flagship whiskey. So we started off with Glenord, and we compared the Glenord 12-year-old from the late 20th century to the present, the Singleton of Glenord 12-year-old. And tonight I'm going to do a comparison between or two whiskies from Bowmore. So this is a Bowmore Then and Now. And really the idea came from the fact that sometimes people say whiskey was better back in the day. And I wanted to investigate whether that was the case or not. And in order to do that, I've acquired 5 samples of whiskey from years ago, and I'm going to do a comparison between as similar whiskey as I could find from the core range today. And the two I've chosen for Bowmore, well, I've got a sample of the Bowmore Legend bottle at 40%, and I'm putting up against that the Bowmore 12-year-old at 40%. So Bowmore is Isla's oldest working distillery, and it was established in 1779, and is now regarded as one of the most popular malts, perhaps not on Isla, but certainly in the whole of Scotland. It was acquired by Stanley P. Morrison in 1963, which ushered in an era of iconic single malts, including the legendary Black Bowmore, credited by many as the genesis of whisky collecting, which was bottled in 1993. And then it was brought under the control of Beam Suntory the year after they had been stakeholders since 1989, and it remains one of the most collectible brands in Scotch whisky today. It's one of the few remaining Scottish distilleries to use its own floor maltings, providing them with 40% of the requirements. I think they peat at something like 25 to 30 parts per million. Its new make spirit on the nose is hugely sweet with fragrant peat smoke and a sort of broom pea pod element to it. And there's a touch of wet grass, barley and vanilla there. And in water, you get dubbin, which is a sort of grease that we put on our hiking boots or leather shoes in Scotland and probably wider Britain. And concentrated jelly fruits. On the mouth, the new make has a dense, damp peat smoke blanketing the mouth and a nutty undertow. And adding water makes it sweeter, brings out hazelnuts, and the finish is fragrant peat smoke. So first up we have the Bowmore Legend, and it was a youthful, non-age statement release added to the core range of Bowmore in 1994 and produced until 2015, when it was replaced by the small batch reserve, and it's fully matured in ex-bourbon casks. And you can see from the colour of this, non-age statement, so youthful, it's quite dark, so that's definitely got colour added to it. And it will be chill filtered at 40%. And it has practically no tears. So not much viscosity, so probably quite a thin mouthfeel. And on the nose, it's quite a complex bouquet of pleasant notes. Caramel syrup, floral notes. And it's like that tropical fruit salad that comes in cans filled with a heavy syrup. Pencil shavers, a weird nuttiness. Old candy and salted butter. I know some of that may sound not too bad, pleasant even. But if you mix all that together and add some notes of sea brine, burnt cake, pineapple syrup, dry eraser marker, tree bark, and an ambiguous, dark, and sickly cloying essence, things can get unpleasant quite quickly. Wish me luck. Oh wow. The best way to describe this, it would be funky burnt sugar toast. But it's an unpleasantly complex mess that includes some smoked meat, sawdust, smoke, which I generally like on a whisky, caramel coffee syrup, some iodine, burnt coffee, an out of place hint of mint, and a bag of old spices, sad, dusty, and expired, at the back of your cupboard, whichever adjective you want to describe those as. And the finish is burnt orange peel, sour caramel, malt, smoke, brine, and wood, and it goes on for far too long. I'll add a mil to this, a milliliter of water. And now the peat is more subtle smoke. You get a bit of citrus and some sweet tropical fruits. Try them out. It's like a mix of a bit of burnt wood, pepper, peat, and a honey-like sweetness, and all at the same time again. And it's sort of dark honey sweetness. And the finish on this is thankfully short, and you still get the peat, the light, and quite bitterness. I don't like this stuff. It's a bitter and angry dram, and it's the reason that so many people could get turned off Islay single malts in the first days, in the early days. And back in the day, Bowmore was ubiquitous, and you would spend years trying to like Bowmore, famous whiskey, and it ruined Islay for a lot of people. And it took me several years of tasting and trying excellent Islands, Lafroy, Gleegaroolan, Ardbeg even, perhaps not now, but back then, and Octomore, to change my mind and erase my preconceived prejudices. And, given the occasion, given the right time, it's now one of my favourite turns to in whisky style. And, this reminds me of why I spent so many yeyears avoiding Islay whiskies, because of the bad experience with stuff like this. I'll cleanse my palate. Sorry for the rant. I tell you, I score these. I don't. I did say in an earlier video that I would reveal my scores. I can tell you, I think that's next to some Swedish whiskey I tried 4 or 5 years ago. That's probably one of the lowest marks I've ever given a whiskey. Anyway, we'll move on to the Bowmore 12-year-old bottled at 40%. So you can see that's again quite dark, suspiciously dark for a 12-year-old. But it does have a place in many hearts as either as medium peated malt. It has an iodine character, plenty of pepper, and let's see if this one is a return to the classic Bowmores of the 1960s and 70s, which had the emphasis on tropical fruit and smoke. This one's matured in both bourbon and sherry casks, and you can see it's quite dark coloured. This will be coloured, chill filtered. Bottled at 40%, and it's got actually not bad tears. Let's see. And now, you know, comparing and contrasting whiskies here, and now you get coastal smoke and ash, and that makes way for bergamot, orange zest, lemon slices, and a bit of hay. And it becomes rather floral. And you get some heather smoke competing with the ash. And there's some dusty, woody hints up front, mixed with warm smoke and the sweetness of roasted pineapple and bananas. Vanilla and apples. There's just a light iodine in this, and light olive brown. It's a mellow peat smoke. Honeydew melon and lemongrass. And breathing more deeply reveals more complete earthy tones from the peat. I'll try the mouth. And it is very rounded, honeyed even. Initially, vanilla, perfume smoke, and coastal elements develop. Sort of dark peat, blossom, and an oily sweetness. And it's a soft, briny smoke and coal dust mixed with sweetness. And you get peaches and pineapple again. There's some cigar ashes, hints of vanilla. It's very balanced with a nice oily texture. It's not as full bodied as you would hope, but there's a sort of heavy oak char with campfire flavour. And the low ABV helps to mature the flavours in your mouth quite quickly. You don't get any initial burn from the alcohol. The front of the mouth tastes lemon citrus with a deep sweetness of clover honey. And I do find that most of the action is on the front of the tongue, and you don't get more of the traditional whisky kick at the throat or the stomach. There's a warming sensation, but it's very smooth and slow. The finish is very mellow. It's quite smoky. Sea spray, dry grass, a touch of ash and citrus. It's a very gentle finale with heather honey, and there's a lightly acrid, ashy notes and some fresh oak shavings. Some tart citrus flavour overlaying the residual vanilla sweetness with puffs of campfire smoke. It's excellently balanced between the peat smoke, which is iconic to Isla, and the sweetness of the barley. I'll try 5 drops of water in this. And it's still very light, sweet smoke. It's got freshness to it. It's very fruity from the sherry portion. It's maltiness, oakiness, citrus, sweet vanilla, and there's an appetizing combination of smoke and caramelized pineapple with a heady hint of tropical fruit here. Try the mouth. It's very mild in the beginning, fruity with sweet oranges. Then you get this oaky, smoky, chocolatey, herbal honey, and it's a nice smokiness to this. And the fruity elements really sing pineapple, peach, mango, dancing with the smoke that surrounds them. It's very balanced, this whiskey. And the finish is a medium length. It's quite sweet, with light smoke and wood, slightly dry. It's rather soft and relaxing, and the smoke lands quite gently. You know, this is classic stuff, and it's at the heart of the Bowmore range. Smoky, fruity, coastal, uh, and it's nice to see the tropical fruits return to this entry level Bowmore, and it's worth a try. I know we kind of sneer at Bowmore, uh, and if you're on a budget and want to discover a balanced, mildly smoky Islay whiskey, this is very mellow and dangerously sippable. I think it's an excellent introductory Islay Scotch, with enough smoke to stand apart from the other regions, while maintaining enough sweetness to keep even exclusive bourbon drinkers engaged. There's no mistaking this as an Islay. There's campfire smoke on the nose and in the glass. Lovers of big Islay smoke will find it a bit underwhelming, but it's probably the perfect bottle to pull out for a friend who likes Scotch and wants to try wading into the pool of Islay. So, then and now, I think uh, I think Bowmore, reading about it from the 60s and 70s, it would be my platonic ideal of what Scotch single malt can be. And I don't think I'm the only person that has this thought about it. And, you know, at its best, Bowmore would combine vibrant tropical fruits, a crisp smokiness, coastal elements, and mineral elements, which Old Bowmore from the 1960s was considered to be some of the best whisky ever produced. And we do criticise Bowmore's core range, not without reason. And the main cause is probably the range isn't necessarily aimed at discerning whisky drinkers, but at a larger audience. And I think that critique comes from a good place. I think people have a kind of romantic notion of what Bowmore could be and what it's capable of, and the core range doesn't always represent the distillery's best. You know, the legend, the then of this story. Perhaps if we go into the 60s, this would be a completely different story, but we're going back to the legend, which was widely available in supermarket shelves up to about 10 years ago. And it's probably one of the reasons that connoisseurs fell out of love with Bowmore. It is, as I've tasted and was, simply dreadful. The 12-year-old, on the other hand, all the Bowmore benchmarks are here, but they're slightly dialed down. Can you imagine when we go back to what I said about the new make spirit, making whiskey that good, only to then dilute it to 40%? I think this would be delicious at a few percentage points higher. And didn't chill filter and didn't add colour. And imagine Bowmore ever decided to go into the high 40s, or, heavens forbid, bottle a version at cask strength. Thank you for listening.